Hello, everybody. I'm Aaron Lopresti, and welcome to Aaron Live. It's June 4th, 2020, believe it or not. And we're still not living like the Jetsons. I really thought by this point we might be, but nope. Still driving around in cars. What are you going to do? Thanks for joining me. I assume someone eventually will be joining me. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Garbage Man and take a look at some artwork just to remind you guys of what that is. And I kind of got this brainstorm the other day about what I might do with it. So I'm going to toss that idea out to you guys, see what you think. And then we're going to draw on a sketchbook like we always do. But I also want to plug, I'm going to be doing Aaron Con 3, which is basically a live event like this. It's much longer though, and I'll be doing it, like for a couple hours on probably Friday and Saturday of next week. Once I finish my current issue of Justice League, we're going to do that, and I'll be doing some sketches, like convention sketches, like the 11 by 14 gray marker sketches. I'll be doing some of those. Probably working on some sketchbooks, talking about various things. I'll have prints for sale. Hopefully my new Captain America print will be back from the printer. I'm assuming it will be. They told me it would be, so we'll have to trust the printer. So I'll have those available, plus, some of my other Wonder Woman prints, my Kit Carter prints, greeting cards, all sorts of stuff. It'll be a virtual con. If you haven't been to the other two that I did earlier in the year, it'll basically be a setup like if you were at a convention and you came by to see me. This is what I would have, and I will have all that stuff available. Most of it for free shipping. The original art I'm not doing for free shipping anymore because I took a bath last time I did that. But on the books and the prints, greeting cards, those type of things, those will all be free shipping next weekend. So mark that on your calendar. But right now, let's see if anybody's here. Johnny Fitz is joining us. Yo, Johnny, thanks for coming in. Carrie Tarpley is here from Florida. Thanks for joining us. John Smith, of course, we can always count on John. Johnny says, I hope you are well. And I am, thank you, and same for you. Everything's pretty peaceful and calm around here, and nothing too dramatic has been going on, which we're quite thankful for. I'm about 20 miles outside of Portland, so I've missed all the action downtown, which is generally what I do anyway. Even if there's nothing going on, I'm missing whatever's going on. So anyway, let's talk about Garbage Man for a minute, because I have some ideas. I don't know if they're going to work or not, but we'll give it a shot. Alex Johnson has joined us. Hello, Alex, from Houston. Angelo, I'm going to screw up your name. Caronco? That's got to be right. Caronco? Well, anyway. Hey, thanks for joining us, Angelo. I appreciate it. Okay, let's turn this crazy camera down here. Boom. And look at this groovy portfolio I have. Okay, what do I have in here? I have Garbage Man art in here. Some of you guys have probably already seen it. In fact, maybe most of you have, but it's worth looking at again because it's so cool. At least I think it is. Let's see if we can avoid the glare problem. Darn plastic sleeves. They protect your art, but they're not good for viewing. This was like, when I first did Garbage Man in a miniseries that was called Weird Worlds for DC. It was like an anthology miniseries. And I was under the impression that everybody was going to do like little title pages or faux covers on the inside of their story. So everybody there was 3 stories in there, and everybody got 10 pages, right? And so I thought everybody was going to do like a faux cover. And so through the first miniseries, which was 6 issues, I did a faux cover for every one of my stories. So no one else did. So I was spending all this time coming up with these cool cover images that weren't actually covers. They were actually inside the comic. While everybody else was got an extra page of storytelling because they weren't doing what we were supposed to be doing. But anyway, so that's what this is. This is page 1, but it's actually would be the cover if Garbage Man had his own series, right? So let's take a look at some of this art. Gosh darn it. Reflection. Oh, look at that, man. It's like I'm sending Morse code or something. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to turn off this banner so it's not, so I have a little bit more room. There we go. The little tiny Aaron Lopresti banner. Let's see if I can scooch There we go. That's not bad. So this is the first page. The title of the story is Reborn Identity. Get it? The Born Identity, Reborn. Yeah. Anyway. And then we have a big splash of Garbage Man actually coming up out of the ground. So this is, you know, his big first appearance, but it really hasn't told us much of anything about the story. So we get a little bit of him. Man, the glare is incredible. Wandering around out there, kind of confused, dazed, gets hit by a car, lives, you know, the guy drives over the top of him in a, what I believe this is the car that I had when I was 16. I'm trying to remember what I used for, I either used a Camaro or I had a Le Mans, the 68 Le Mans, which I'm pretty sure that's what this is. And so anyway, he drives over Garbage Man. You can see the tire tracks in his back and his legs. But then it all reforms and he stands up and he's like, what the heck? He has no idea what's going on or who he is. He sees this syringe right there in his arm. I don't know if you can see that, which then causes us to go into flashback and we sort of get the origin story of Garbage Man. And this is all in the first 10 pages of the story. In the second issue, here's where the problem starts. You can see there's Batman. This is my faux cover for the second part 2 of Garbage Man. You know, if there was like a snail under there, it would be like melting right now. I put salt on it. But anyway, so that's a pretty cool image. And on the splash page of the second issue is Batman. Well, obviously, since I have the rights back to this story, I can't use Batman anymore. So I'm going to have to redraw this page or at least redraw this section of the page and turn Batman into one of my creator-owned characters, which I'm going to do. I've already got it all planned out. So that's a page I have to replace. The rest of this stuff is all just Garbage Man. So Batman doesn't come in till a few stories later. So all that Batman stuff has to be replaced. Man, look at that light. I couldn't get this much glare if I was, you know, trying to send a signal out to a boat at sea. I mean, this is just amazing. But I don't want to pull all these pages out. So, but anyway, I kind of wanted to give you a flavor of this because here's what my idea is. Hyper Potato's like saying, "Hey, I finally catch one of these live." Well, I am super glad, Hyper Potato, that you got to do it. You got to see it live because it's way more exciting. Not really, but anyway. So here's what I was thinking. Originally, when I launched that as a Indiegogo project, what I was going to do was reprint all the original Garbage Man stuff. There's 120 pages of it, right? With the new art to replace Batman with my characters. It didn't really affect the story. The characters I have actually fit really well in the story, so it wouldn't have caused me to do many alterations or changes other than just, you know, redrawing the pages and stuff. But script wise, it would have stayed pretty much the same, other than of course changing the dialogue for the characters. But now I'm thinking, if I could just get the original stuff out there so that people have access to it in case you don't have the miniseries. And it was 2 separate 6-issue miniseries. It was Weird Worlds and My Greatest Adventure, okay? And they kind of really flew under the radar. Not a lot of people know about them. Some of you guys out there have those, some of you don't. And I thought if I could put them up so everybody could have access to these with the new art, right? So we could sort of give everybody at a low cost a refresher of the entire thing, the backstory, up to where the series ended, and then I could then go forward with new stories from that point. So how do you do this? Well, I'm looking at Patreon or someplace like that, and maybe posting this stuff for like, you know, charging you guys $2 a month or something, you know, really low like that, so you can go in and access and put one issue up a month, which would give me time to get the page or 2 done that I need to do to replace the Batman stuff as we move along. And then after, a few months, all that material would be up there, which anybody would have access to for very cheap price, and they could read the entire thing. And then when I, brought out a new Garbage Man story, everybody would be familiar with the backstory. Or if they weren't, they would have access to that Patreon stuff to go, again, at a very cheap price to kind of catch up and find out what it's all about. So that's my latest idea. Rather than trying to collect everything in one big volume, which didn't work the first time I tried it, just make it available for everybody to access if and when they wanted to. And then I can just kind of sort of move forward with new stories without having to, redo his origin and all that kind of stuff. It would just be there. So anyway, that's my idea. We'll see if it works or not. In all my spare time, of course, I'll be working on this stuff, along with Kit Carter too, which, I just told somebody, I was on somebody's podcast, Josh Olive, yesterday. I did a Swamp Thing commission for him, and he wanted to open it live on air. So I appeared on with him last night, and he opened it up, and I had made the comment to him as we were talking about creator-owned projects. I said, I probably have more creator-owned projects that have never been done than anybody alive. So I could literally, if I had the money, start my own comic book company. Of course, people only text me when I do this. But I have so many ideas, and I'm not saying they're all good. I'm just saying I have a lot of ideas, and they're all developed and ready to go. So it's like I could start my own comic book company if I had the money, but I don't. So anyway, the other thing we're going to do tonight is sketch in a sketchbook. Wow, what a novel concept. Hey, let's see. Fly Fox Pro is here. Hello. Hyper Potato says Kid Carter looks fantastic. Thank you. All right. Johnny Fitz, if you don't mind me asking what inspired Garbage Man. Well, let me do this first. Guys, I'm sure you've all seen this, but I'm showing you again. You know why? Because I have to. These are for sale, and I have to sell them. This is a hardcover 64-page, full color sketchbook with some really quality material in there. Those of you who have it can vouch for me. I'm also offering these with a sketch on the inside, a head sketch of whatever character you'd like, for $45 plus $5 shipping. It's scrolling on the bottom of the screen right now. If you need any information, that's how you pay for it, is PayPal. So you just contact me through PayPal. You can pay me and then tell me what you want in your sketchbook and make sure I have your correct mailing address. And this thing gets drawn and shipped out in the mail pronto. If you don't want a sketch, you can get one for $25. So, but anyway, we're going to be drawing in this in a couple of minutes. Let me answer, as I turn this back down here. I think we've seen enough of my face for one evening. Let me zoom in. Johnny Fitz wants to know what inspired Garbage Man. Well, it's kind of obvious. Swamp Thing did. And the reason being is, to make a long story short, because I've told this story many, many times, but when I first went over to DC from Marvel, Dan DiDio was looking for a character to replace Swamp Thing because Vertigo owned Swamp Thing, and they would not allow DCU proper to use the character because they want to keep it in the Vertigo universe. So we came up with this idea of coming up with a character, a monster hero character that might replace Swamp Thing in the DCU. So I came up with Garbage Man. We were all go. We're going to do it. And I got about halfway through it, and he was able to get Swamp Thing back from Vertigo, and that was that. So I finished Garbage Man, but then they never really had any use for him after that. And it sat around for years, and they finally returned the. I'm going to have to scoot over just a little bit here. I'm sorry. They finally returned the rights to me, so I have all that stuff. And that, I have all the finished art with colors, lettering, everything. I can just republish it anytime I want. The problem is, it's got, like I said, it's got Batman in it, and I've got to remove Batman because obviously DC would not want me self-publishing or publishing through another company with one of their characters in it. So, but that's kind of the origin of Garbage Man. And so it was one of those things where I got to create a book specifically for a purpose, and then it ended up, getting paid for it, and then ending up having the rights returned to me. So it, worked out really well. All right. So John Smith, I miss Sludge. Interesting. I've had a strange run on Sludge pages, people contacting me wanting what few Sludge pages. I mean, I have some decent Sludge pages left, but wanting to buy Sludge pages. And it was just very strange. And then I started thinking, wait a minute, is Sludge now considered a classic comic? Are these pages worth more than I'm charging all of a sudden? But because I've got prices on there from like 5 or 6 years ago, and I'm not going to go in and change them. So there's deals to be had on Sludge pages, but there's not a ton left. It was very interesting. And I want to announce, I'm also, for those of you that do go visit my website, which I'd encourage you to do because I spent money on it and no one ever goes there. But if you go to my website, it's got all the stuff I have for sale, all my pages, artwork, it's got a blog with some interesting stuff on it. There's a lot of stuff there. I am in the process finally of getting my art for sale page updated. I'm getting all the old stuff that has sold off of there, and I'm almost done with that process. And then I'm going to start listing the newer stuff. And when I say newer stuff, I mean stuff over the last 2 years, which has not been listed on there yet. But since I don't have any conventions this year, well, maybe Emerald City in August is still a possibility. But other than that, so I'm going to try and get all that stuff up there within the next few weeks. We'll see how it works out. Okay. Oh, Pat Scott, I'm going to place my order for Sludge pages. Okay. You still have Sludge pages? I do. I do have still some left. Oh, Angelo, that's right. I did the werewolf from the Wolfman from the Benicio del Toro version of the Wolfman for you in that book. I'm glad you liked it. Thank you. You bought Sludge #1 out of a 25-cent box recently. Well, you know what? I got a stack of Sludge #1s here. I actually have a lot of I think I have 10 of the silver logo. I should be drawing while I'm talking. We're doing Magique from the New Mutants. Anyway, I have a ton of #1s, and I have about 10 of the silver foil edition #1s. So that's the logo. The Sludge logo is silver, reflective silver, and they were limited to 5,000, and I have about 10 of those. And yes, they are for sale, and they're like $5. So if you want one, let me know. And if you don't want one, then you really don't have to let me know. Because you emailing me and telling me you don't want one of my books is not really helpful to me. So let's not do that. All right. There's so many versions of Magique. I have no idea which version this guy wants, but he's going to get the old version because that's the one I know. Like, shouldn't she become a demon or something and grow horns and stuff? I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to do that, but Hyper Potato asks, I keep hoping you will come to Heroes Con. It is the only show I'm able to get to, at least pre-pandemic. I was going to go this year, and well, look what happened. So I'll go next year, I promise, because I love that show, but I have not been there in years. In fact, I think the last time I was there was when I was at CrossGen. So that's been, my gosh, at maybe 13 or 14 years ago. It's wild to think it was that long ago. But all I have to do is look in the mirror and I know it's true. So yeah, that's on my hit list because I love that show. Because I buy old comics and there's always like old comics there and a good selection. So I just made a major purchase. I'm not going to tell you what it was though, because I'm going to post it online when I get it. But it cost me a fair amount of money. I shouldn't be saying this online because I don't know if my wife knows if I got it or not. Although she never watches my videos anyway. She appears in them occasionally, but I don't think she watches them. Okay. Yeah, let's get a little pencil action in here. Excuse my arm. Oh, let's see. What else we got here? I have a JLI page I want to buy from you, but my wife needs convincing. My wife needs convincing. Oh, help me. Well, here's the thing. I'm getting older and I may die soon. So that means all my art is going to like double in value. So get it now while it's cheaper. How's that? Is that convincing enough? Actually, the truth is I buy original artwork and I buy old comics, and it's a great investment. The one thing, if you buy smart, don't buy crappy pages, buy good pages from good artists, and eventually they will reward you with the investment. I had a friend who's a serious collector, spends a lot of money, he owns practically every good piece of artwork I've ever done. I mean, not comic pages, but like other things I've worked on that, like I had a portfolio I did back in the mid 90s called Strange Worlds or something like that. And it was all, you know, monsters and King Kong and things like that. And I've done other just commissions and stuff for the guy, but he commissions like serious stuff, not like sketch commissions, but like, you know, I did a shadow piece for him, the Shadow, you know, the old pulp hero. It was really cool. I did a spirit piece for him that was just huge and really cool. And I did an oil painting of Bride of Frankenstein, and you know, I mean, he's got all this stuff for me. But anyway, his wife we always like, oh, you know, why are you spending all this money on this stuff, you know? And he goes, well, she wants to go to Hawaii with the money. And he says, you know what? It's great to go on vacation, but after you spend your money on the vacation, you come back, all you got is photographs. He goes, I have original art that is actually of value, and I can sell it at any time and get my money back or even make money on it. So you got to look at it as an investment. It's something you can hang up and enjoy, but it's also an investment. So there, that is my big pitch for Fly Fox Pro. Let's see. Hyper Potato says, I think I paid $15 for my silver foil sludge. I'd love a signed comic and a page of art. Well, contact me anytime and let's talk. How much are the sludge and shipping? Well, the silver sludges are like $5 a piece. I've got multiple copies of every issue except one, I think. And when I say multiple copies, I mean like 3 available of each issue, but I've got a ton of number ones. I'd ship them, if it was just one comic, shipping would probably be like $3.50, somewhere in that neighborhood. If you bought multiple ones, I'd stick them in one of the book boxes I have and ship it media mail. So it actually wouldn't be that much more than that. It'd probably still be around $3.50, $4 for multiple copies. So there you go. But no, seriously, if you want some sludge comics, let me know, because I'll sell them till I don't have them anymore. In fact, I've got 2 boxes. DC still sends me all their hardcover trades that come out every month. And I pick out the ones I want, right? And then I take the other ones to a used bookstore here, Powell's. And it's the largest new and used bookstore in the world. So it's actually quite an amazing place. And I go in there and I sell or trade all these hardcovers to them for store credit or cash or whatever, you know, and change 20 books into one, basically. Well, they're closed because of, this silly shutdown that's still going on. And so I've got like 2 boxes of these things. What I should do, and I think I will do during AaronCon, is just like preview all these books and like sell them for these are hardcover trades. Just sell them for like $5 a piece. If anybody, if there's one you're looking for or whatever, that's recent, because they are just piling up. I mean, my wife walked into my studio today and looked around. She goes, "What happened in here?" And I go, "Why does it look messier than usual?" And then she looked around and said, "Well, no, I guess not." So, but it's just, there is stuff everywhere. because I have all my inventory in here, plus all my drafting tables and all my original art and all, everything. So it's a big room, but it is full. So if I can get rid of some of these trade paperbacks and trade hardcovers that I have, I would really be thrilled to do that. So there's that story. It's not a good story, but it is a story. Heroes Con is our favorite with Baltimore on its heels, says Alex Johnson. And we like Rose City Comic Con too, which unfortunately got canceled. And I was a little surprised since September that they canceled so early, but I guess with uncertainty, it's kind of hard to plan something that big because you don't want to cancel it at the last minute. So, but I was really disappointed in that. Alex Johnson, she knows. Wives know all. They do. Yeah, John Smith knows Shelley well. Okay, see, Fly Fox Pro. He's gonna pass the message on. Do you have crappy pages? That's all I have. Some would say. No, I have cheap pages that really don't have. I mean, if you're talking about Sludge or Justice League or whatever, I have. Everybody obviously goes for the best pages, whatever that means to them. But I also have a lot of relatively inexpensive, pages around $100 that aren't necessarily the big dynamic, huge action superhero pages. So depends what you're looking at. John Smith, you're welcome. Let's see. Hyper Potato he says, I love collecting original art. I don't know if my commissions will go up in value though. Limited market for Sergeant Rock and Atari Force. I had this conversation with a guy who I used to trade. He was getting rid of his comic book collection because he felt like original art was a better investment because there's only one of them, right? And that's right. That is true. However, if you don't buy the right stuff, there's no resale value in it because there's no demand for it. So, and when I buy comics, I buy the stuff that I like it, but I also buy stuff that I know generally my tastes are ones that other people share. So it's stuff I know that eventually if I needed to sell it, I could. Original art, if you're going to go that route, you got to buy the good stuff. And that's either, pages with characters on them that will sell, or artists that will sell. And even sometimes it's not just the artist. I mean, if you get like I'm not going to throw out a name, but someone who's really well known and popular, but they're doing a character that no one cares about, it's probably going to be a hard sell. But if you get pages of art that is, got a major character on it that people like, and it's good art regardless of who does it, there's going to be some value there. So you have to be smart about what you're buying. And I guess what I'm trying to tell you is that Atari Force is not smart. Sergeant Rock's not as bad, but there's a limited audience for that. But Atari Force, man, I think you're really pushing it. But again, if it's if you've got a budget and you're in that budget and it's stuff you like, then that's that's cool. But I did those of you who may or may not have tuned in for one of the Aaron cons, I did a Space Ghost, for example, for John Smith, who's here with us right now. And, Space Ghost is not necessarily a big time character, but I guarantee you, if he wanted to sell that, he wouldn't have any trouble. Because there's a strong enough cult following for that character. It's like Legion pages. There's not a ton of people that want them, but the ones who want them bad. So I did one issue of Legion before I started on Wonder Woman, when I first came over to DC. And I had somebody contact me, and they wanted every page. They wanted the entire issue. So I called my anchor and said, this dude wants to buy every page. So we worked out a deal and sold him every page. That's commitment. And that's what Legion guys are like that, man. They're just, but I don't know that Atari Force has got that kind of following. Pat Scott says, as soon as you're finished selling all of your Sludge art and books, and then Marvel will bring him back in a movie. That's right. And then they'll be worth a ton, and I'll have sold them all. It'll be like one of these stories, like, I don't know, Gene Colan or whatever, who sold all these pages, and then, suddenly they're vintage and they're worth a ton. He's like, or even see it with rights. And all the rights and stuff, this funny thing is, people always kind of lament the fact that Bernie's gone and he never really saw that kind of money for his original art. But that's not entirely true, because he sold all of his stuff, back in the 70s and early 80s. And you say, oh my gosh, you got that for $300 back in 1977? Yeah, but $300 back in 1977 was like, $2,000 right now. So even though I'm sure he didn't get anywhere near what some of this Frankenstein stuff is going for, he still got, at the time he sold them, got pretty good money for it. But that's the thing, you can't, stuff goes up, and you can sit there and say, well, I sold my Spider-Man collection. I've told you this story before, but I don't know, 5 years ago now, and I got pretty good money for the collection, especially considering what I spent on it, because most of it I bought when I was a kid. So I got them, I didn't spend a ton of money on them. But now those issues I sold for, say, $50 are now $150. You're like, oh, if it only hung onto it for 5 more years. Well, if I sell it now for $150, 5 more years from now, it's going to be $250. So you're always, kind of playing catch up doing that. So as long as you're getting a fair price or a good price for it when you sell it, then I think you should be happy about it. That's my lecture for today. Stephen Ing is here. Stephen, I ordered that guy's book. Oh my gosh, I am getting old. I can't remember his name. Wow. Anyway, the one you were recommending, and I got it, and I ordered it for $9.99. I was like, God, they're giving it away. So anyway, Stephen's always letting me know when there's good art books for. Yeah, Brian Stelfreeze. Golly, man, what is wrong with me? Let's see. Alex says, I have a really nice Gil Kane Atari Force page. The original series was way better than I expected it to be. Got to agree with your assessment, though. Well, I mean, we've all got like things that we really, really like. I mean, for me, it was Weird World back in the 70s. And like I showed you guys before, I think last live feed, I got a couple pages up there, and they cost me a fair amount of money. But they're also Mike Plug and John Buscema pages, so they have, they have some value despite the fact that it's a very sort of obscure series. But I got them because I wanted them, because they were things I remembered from my childhood, and so, if I eventually had to sell them and only got what I paid for, more or less, I don't, that I didn't really buy those for that reason. But I would not spend a lot of money on something that I didn't think I could eventually get my money back out of it if I needed to. I just think that way. It's that collector's mentality. Yes, John Smith, I read your snarky comment there. But I don't think I need to repeat it because everybody can read it anyway. I'm going to cross-hatch a little black here because, as I recall, she has a black outfit. Or at least she did. Didn't she? Well, she does now. This is how Art Adams used to draw her, right? It was kind of this style with that hairdo and everything. Like when he was doing like those New Mutant annuals or whatever he was working on. Arthur was really, I call him Art, but he prefers Arthur, so I got to remember to do that. I do the Walt Simonson too, and he prefers Walter, so I always have to catch myself when I'm around those guys to make sure I don't call them by the wrong name. But everybody was like Doug Arthur Adams stuff back in the 80s, but it was so like you never knew when it was going to just show up. I remember he did like a couple issues of Fantastic Four. I don't know if you guys remember that, but there was like the Ghost Rider. It was like the new Fantastic Four or something. It was the Ghost Rider and oh my gosh, who else was in that? It was really bizarre. The Gray Hulk. And I can't remember, somebody who wrote, did Simonson write that? Maybe. but it was just randomly, you go to the comic shop and, oh, look, there's an Arthur Adams Fantastic Four issue, so you always had to sort of be on the lookout for his stuff. And he showed he did a Web of Spider-Man annual #2, right, with the black costume. Had no idea it was coming out. Just there it was. So he always used those Gumby specials, So he was always tough to keep up with because he didn't do a ton of work and he never knew exactly what he was going to do. He used to do a lot of annuals, probably because it was more time, to do them, usually in your deadline. Because I've done my fair share of annuals too, so I guess that means I'm like Arthur Adams. Yeah, probably not. So anyway, I got to plug my, let me change my banner here for the sake of humor. There we go. I am working on Justice League right now. I mean, not right this second I'm doing this, but I am working on it. And that's issues 48, 49, and 50. I already did 2 issues before that, but they've already come out. So it's going to be like this sort of epic thing. And then I'm doing a Justice League annual right after that. So you're going to get about 4 months worth of Justice League right in a row from me, which is fun for me. I mean, I found that I still don't think I have a very good grip on Batman for some reason. Whenever I draw him, he doesn't look creepy enough. But I've really got a handle on Superman now and Wonder Woman. But of course, I've got quite a bit of experience drawing Wonder Woman, so that shouldn't be a big shock. All right. Gregory Fried says, hi, Aaron. I say, hey, Gregory, how are you? Hyper Potato says, Wolverine, Hulk, Spidey, and Ghost Rider FF. That's right. That's who it was. Wolverine, of course. Well, yeah. I should have known it was always Wolverine, right? He was in everything there for a while. I don't know. Maybe he still is. I haven't really kept up with what's going on over at Marvel. You know what I should do? I should post my... I had I had many story pitches when I was over at Marvel that never got off the ground, but I had a Night Nurse one-shot, and Matt Haley and I sort of came up with this really sort of outrageously goofy plot. It was kind of a humor romance superhero book, and I actually did the promo art for it to try and get as part of my pitch piece. I should post that because it is kind of fun. It was back in the 90s when the girls were a little bit more saucy than what I'm doing these days, but it's still kind of a fun piece. So I'll just wait for Marvel to contact me to do the my Night Nurse project and my Man-Thing one-shot. I'm sure they really want to do that too. What I really want to do is I've got a World War II story with Captain America fighting zombie Nazis. That's like the ultimate, right? I wouldn't mind doing. So who knows? Who knows what the future holds? Certainly not I. I'm afraid she looks a little ticked off, but I mean, she is Magique. She's never really all that happy, is she? I don't think she is. You got to take your time on the eyes because the eyes are the gateway to the soul, isn't it what they say? Probably going to go back someday and watch these videos and go, wow, I said the exact same thing in every single one of my videos. So those of you who are like going, oh my gosh, Aaron, how many times are you going to say the same dumb things? You'd be just like my daughter because she tells me that all the time. Every time we drive through my where I grew up, which is only about 20 minutes from here, we'll drive by an old like Plaid Pantry or 7-Eleven. I'll go, yeah, I used to drive in there and buy comic books when I was a kid. She goes, I know, you tell me that every time we go by here. So, you know, kids. But apparently I do repeat myself a lot. But I think that's sort of what you do when you know, become a parent. And then when you become an old parent, that's what you really do. So I am sort of falling right into the stereotype and cliche. You know, like I've said before, when I draw girls in these books, it's kind of a bummer because I don't like, you know, go crazy with the line work because I don't really want to mess up their face. Whereas if I'm doing, you know, something more creepy or some dude that, you know, is all like Wolverine or something that's all like, you know, scraggly and scruffy and stuff, you can really kind of go to town. So I try to do a little, and she has blonde hair, which makes it, you know, I can't even get in there and do too much noodling on the hair. Speaking of noodles, I made this sort of impromptu spaghetti lasagna casserole kind of thing tonight. I just pulled it out of the oven before I came on, so kind of anxious to try it. I'm sure it doesn't taste any different than, like, you know, spaghetti would, but because it's actually in a, you know, in a flat glass dish and I put it in the oven, that, you know, it makes it seem different. But I did make salmon the other night that turned out really well. So, and when I say I made salmon, I didn't actually make it. God made the salmon. I just bought it at the store, but cooked it myself is what I'm trying to say. Someone caught it, and, you know, brought it to the store. And I just did the consumer thing. I bought it and cooked it. But I didn't ruin it, and that's the important thing. Salmon is tough, man. You have to cook it at low temperature, and you can't cook it too long. It'll get dry, and then the whole thing sucks, and you've wasted a ton of money because it ain't cheap. Johnny, you've returned. Welcome back. Welcome back. Wasn't that welcome back, Cotter? Yes. Remember the good old days when there was only like 3 channels to watch on TV? And I think there was more on then than there is now. There's just more, there's more channels now for us to click through and go, yeah, there's nothing on. And we pay way more for it too, for the privilege of clicking through 100 channels just so we can still say that, nah, there's nothing good on. Yeah, I'll do a little shading here under her. Give her some eyeshadow. Gives me an excuse to put a few more lines in. That's pretty magic-y, I guess. Let's take a look, shall we? John Smith says, except Aaron Con. What did I just say? Except Aaron Con. Sorry, Oh, okay. What are you referring to, John Smith, that would make you say except Aaron Con? What did I just say? Like I said, man, I ramble and I have no idea what I said like 10 seconds ago. Well, I do have a few slots open for sketches for Aaron Con. So if anybody's interested in that, and what those are is basically 11 by 14 gray marker inked single character sketches. They're more than a sketch. It's less than a finished piece of art. How's that? So anyway, I have a few slots open for those. Those are $200. If you want to get in on that action before next weekend, let me know. Okay, what do we think? She looks a little grumpy, but you know what? I said Magic always seems pissed off to me anyway. So, oh, there's Art is joining me. Art live streams more than anybody alive, but he must be taking a break right now so he can join me. Thanks, Art. I appreciate you stopping by. Art has like a Indiegogo project called Chrono Mechanics. I actually contributed to one of his alternate covers for the book. I think it's really groovy looking. It's sort of cartoony and fun looking. And so I'd advise you all, if you haven't checked it out, to check out Art's Indiegogo campaign, Chrono Mechanics, ladies and gentlemen, Chrono Mechanics. I think I'll round out this lower lip a little bit. She looks a little pouty to me. Well, she still looks pouty, but what do you want for 20 bucks, right? Can I get a sketch of a complicated city street? Not for 20 bucks, and not one of these books. If I have to pull out a ruler, forget it, brother. I mean, I could freehand one, and it would look like a page from Hellboy, but, and I don't mean that as an insult. I mean, I just, I think it's cool how Mignola just sort of freehands everything. I'm a little too anal retentive to do that most of the time. Anyway, there we go. Magique. Oh, actually, I want to do this. So I'm going to establish the bridge on her nose just a little bit. Okay. So now I've got to sign it because it wouldn't be right of me not to claim responsibility for it. All right. This, I spent years trying to come up with a decent signature, and it had to be one that I could do while writing, but also with a paintbrush when I did paintings. And so I basically stole some stuff from Frazetta, and I can't remember who else, and sort of combined it all to make my signature, which I've had for, I think I've been using now for 20 years. I used to sign everything in cursive, and it was just like, I don't know. It's like I was signing a check or something. It just looked silly to me. All right, this is book number 161. How about that? Boom. This will go out in the mail tomorrow. Yeah, so there we have it, folks. I don't have a second one to do, but, how long have we been on? Well, we've been on for almost an hour. I mean, how much of me can you actually take? Alexandre Angelo. Hi, Aaron. Hi, Alexandra. Alexandre. God, you guys. Just put Alex next time, man. Okay, 61, number 61? No, 161. Okay, 161 out of 750. So I still have a few of these left, but they're I'm not doing any more sketchbooks. Honestly, this is it. So if you want to get a sketchbook from me, this is the one to get. Look at there's Star Wars stuff. There's cave girls with spears. I'm sure most cave girls look like that. Well, I mean, Raquel Welch did, right, in 1 million BC. So, I figured that was scientifically sound. There's a ton of John Carter of Mars stuff, a ton. It's David and Goliath. Most of these are, sketches I did, or, because I had ideas for like prints or an illustration that I never, got beyond the sketch stage. I love Tangled. It's absolutely my favorite animated film. Fun, cartoony dragons. Come on, man. Who does that in their sketchbook? And then right page opposite, Power Cubed. I mean, the diversity in this book in terms of styles and content is just, you're just not going to find it anywhere. Look at ugly, fat people Look at that. Come on. Kane from the House of Mystery. Conan. That was going to be a print. I probably still should finish it. That's kind of a cool piece. Like I said, I got so many. This is all from my fantasy series that I want to do that I mean, I've got like almost the first 2 issues completely written and ready to go. It's just, I have to find an audience for it. Anyway, when I'm out of work after the Justice League annual, I'll be jumping into a lot of this creator-owned stuff because I won't have a choice probably. So look at, there's dinosaurs, there's trolls, there's another big fat troll guy. More John Carter of Mars. Well, that's actually Deja Thoris and a white ape. But, I mean, this book is chock full of stuff. TC Shen jumps in and says, awesome sketch, Aaron. And I say, thank you, TC. TC has got, let's give him a little shout out there. He's actually got a lot of my commissions, a lot of good ones, color ones he usually gets. He has a really good Planet Hulk one I did. Johnny Fitch gives me a dude. What did I say something embarrassing? Johnny Fitch says, dude. I'm like, what did I say? Dude, that's a lot. Oh, number of sketches maybe in sketchbooks. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is most of the books I've done, I've had sketches in them. I mean, thankfully, I don't have to do them all at once. Let's see. TC says, do you still have all the originals of the pieces in this sketchbook? Yes, I do. Most of them are in, okay, well, okay, I have to say I did a little false advertising. I said that every sketch in this book was out of my sketchbooks, and that's not entirely true. A couple of them I had to pull from out of my sketchbooks because they were just nice pieces that I wanted to reproduce. So I sort of lied, but so all the ones that are actually in the sketchbooks, I'm not selling because I have to rip them out of my sketchbook to do it. But there are some of these floating around. Like look at this. Now, can you believe that this Lord of the Rings, Gandalf, Bilbo Baggins, and Gollum piece right there, the Skeksis and the old wizard characters, what are those guys called, from Dark Crystal, those are huge 11 by 14 pieces. Still have them just sitting over here, but they are for sale at a reasonable price. I think they're like 150 a piece, which I think is pretty reasonable. Yeah, but most of this stuff, I had somebody ask me about Rosie the Riveteer and the Uncle Sam stuff, but those are all in my sketchbooks. So I was like, no, I can't sell those. Look at that Jungle Book. Who knew that I did Jungle Book stuff? Well, there it is, right there. There's Wonder Woman too. But yeah, some of these pieces, some of the John Carter stuff is not in my sketchbooks. So those could be coaxed away from me. These are this Cave Girl stuff. All this stuff is. The funny thing is I have you guys seen my, I'll show you something real quick. Because I think I have it right over here off camera. So you can look at my floor for a minute and go, wow, that's really entertaining video, Aaron. Show us more. This is interesting to me. Okay, this print, the Star Wars print with the Star Wars princesses, right? I still have the original for this. It's just sitting right over here because I never bring it to cons with me because it's too big. It's like, I think it's like 13 by 19 or something. It's on watercolor paper and it's pencil like this. This background I added in Photoshop, so it's just the 3 ladies, but it's a really nice piece. But it's just sitting over there in a drawer because I couldn't. It's too big. It doesn't fit in any of my portfolio, so I couldn't really bring it to any shows to try and sell it. But this is for sale. I'm not giving it away, but I think it's less than $1,000. I think it's I don't know what I have on it. I'd have to go look, but probably in the $800 range. I don't know. I'd have to go look. But I mean, yeah, I still have a lot of this stuff just kind of laying around here. I'll show you one more before I go eat dinner. Just because you asked, you demanded it. Yeah, all this stuff is in the sketchbook. These Frankenstein pieces and this. I mean, I think these are all in my sketchbooks. But there's a this one. This is on a huge piece. I never finished it, and I'm kind of like, why didn't I finish it? You know, because I started cross hatching on this side of Dejah Thoris's face, and I didn't really like it at the time. But now, as I look at it, I'm like, it looks all right. You know, what's my issue? You know, so I should finish this piece because it's actually really cool. But anyway, this is the state it's in. But this is a big piece, 11 by 17 piece, and I wanted to put that in here. This is all in sketchbook. Sketchbook. That's a nice piece. Actually, she's buck naked in the sketchbook, but I kind of felt like, I don't know. I just didn't want to be offensive, so I put a little towel around her butt. And I got one other one here. This is a painting I actually did. This drawing is humongous. It's, I think, 13 by 19 or something like that. And I actually turned it into a painting, which is hanging out in my hallway. This piece here, which I think is a really cool piece, is very Frazetta-inspired werewolf thing. Okay, well, this girl in the sketchbook is completely naked, right? And before I put it in the sketchbook, I put her a dress on her because after drawing the piece, and as an artist, it was just more of like, you know, you always draw the figure first and then you sort of put clothes on afterwards. And I was like, the figure turned out really nice. So I was like, I don't want to mess it up by putting clothes on it. But then I was like, why would this girl be running around in the jungle, in the woods naked? It made no sense. So I put a dress on her. But anyway, that's also in one of my sketchbooks. So Josh Olive says that Star Wars print is gorgeous. And you know what, Josh? I'm going to put you up there. Thank you. You know, I should draw, Fly Fox Pro says you should draw a Princess of Mars comic. And I agree, I should, but no one will buy it. So that is why I haven't done it. In fact, I have toyed with the idea of buying the rights to one of the John Carter of Mars books, whether Princess of Mars or one of the other ones, and doing an illustrated version. Because the only person that ever did those was Frazetta back in the early 70s. Doubleday did these collections of the hardcover collections of the Edgar Rice Burroughs, John Carter stuff. And he did spot illustrations for it, but he didn't do a ton, but they're really good. But no one's really done anything since then. The patience. So I've been thinking about doing that as well. I mean, I'm the guy of a million ideas, so I just can sell any of them. Guy Colston says, every page absolutely pops. And you know what? It does. Thank you, Guy. I appreciate it. He just got a sketchbook from me with the Green Goblin in it. It was really cool. Let's see what else here. Hyper Potato is a satisfied sketchbook buyer, and I appreciate that. I can only dream of a color sketch. Mr. Mom to a nurse wife doesn't pay good enough. Boy, that's the truth, man. But someday. Let's see. Fly Fox says you would have at least one sale. You know, that's the thing. I can probably guarantee I would get at least 20 sales on regardless of anything I did, because there's usually about 20 people out there that, at least 20 people that like something that you're doing, right? So unfortunately, that's not enough to actually to make it worthwhile doing. But it's public domain. Well, sort of. I know that that I think Princess of Mars is public domain, but the other stuff isn't. So it's really kind of weird and iffy about getting the ability to do that, because I know Dynamite's doing that, and but I think they've actually been sued too about it. So, yeah, but that's not the big problem. I know I could get a hold of John Carter people or the Edgar Rice Burroughs people, and I could get it easy enough. The problem is, to do a book like that, I'd have to do something like this, and with all the illustrations and stuff, I'd still have to pay to publish it, and that's where the expense comes in, is the time it would take me to do it, and then actually the publishing expense. Not so much getting the rights. I don't think that would be that much of a problem, because I know people over there and they know of my work, so I wouldn't be like, I'd have to twist their arm or anything. And no one buys the comics, so they probably would be, even if I wanted to use stuff that I had to pay to use, it probably wouldn't be an outrageous price. Yes, Edgar Wright Burroughs Inc. owns the trademarks. Yeah, it's really sort of, it's a weird relation. I understand trademark and copyright and stuff like that, but there's a lot of gray areas in some of that stuff. Tom Yates did a John Carter for Barnes & Noble hardcover. Oh, really? He did? I didn't know that. I bet that's pretty cool. But mine would be cooler. All the Lovecraft stuff is public domain now. I'd love to see your take on some of that stuff Lovecraft sells. That's true. There is this weird sort of Lovecraftian cult following out there for that stuff. He is pretty trippy. Johnny Fitz is on his way out. Thanks for stopping by, man. I appreciate it. Steven says the Yates was an illustrated compilation of 2 or 3 novels. Wow, that's really cool. I really dug the stuff that who was it that published the Conan stuff and the Solomon Kane stuff that Mark Schultz worked on and Gary Gianni worked on. Those were pretty cool. I never got any because they were so expensive, and they're probably like 10 times that expensive now. But yeah, I don't know. Illustrated books I think are really cool, but I don't know if other people think they're really cool. Those are just the kind of stuff that was influenced me when I was growing up, and so I have like this love for it. But I don't know that it's how should we say, a broad appeal love, that everybody wants to get in on. Well, let's see, get up here and get my face. That's still a little too close for comfort, isn't it? Let's move the camera back. There we go. You notice I got my Oregon State orange on. I'm always repping either Nebraska or occasionally Oregon State. My son is an engineer, but he went to engineering school at Oregon State. My wife played volleyball there and went there. I actually went there 1 year before I transferred to USC. So, and I'm a Nebraska fan. That makes no sense at all, but I was raised in a Nebraska household, so that's the kind of the stuff that sticks with you. Anyway, oh, wait a minute. FYI, Josh Olive says, I moved around all my commissions on the wall at his comic book shop today to put your Swamp Thing Ophelia commission in the place of honor on my stone wall. It's gorgeous. Thank you, Josh. If you guys haven't seen that commission, it actually turned out pretty well. And I've got it posted on Facebook and on Twitter. So if you haven't seen it, go check my timeline and check out that commission. It was pretty involved and pretty an original idea by Josh that he came to me with, and it was actually a lot of fun to work on. So check that out. It's free. It wasn't to him, but you get to benefit from him paying me to do a commission. You get to look at it for free, but you don't get to own it. All right, guys, that's all I got for tonight. I really appreciate you stopping by. Remember, I'll be advertising on social media about AaronCon 3. If you want to get on the commission list for me, please contact me just through Facebook or email or whatever to find out about that. And that'll probably be Friday and Saturday, maybe Saturday, Sunday, but we'll see if I get my Justice League stuff done on time. But anyway, I will be doing it. I'll keep you guys posted. So make sure you clear your calendar and at least for a little bit of time on the next weekend to check that out. But anyway, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. And we will see you next time.